No, I've been working on the show for about a year now, or a little more than a year. And Tom's been working on it for how long?
Maybe I started 6 years ago somewhere.
6 years ago? With the idea, huh?
Yeah, about 6 years.
Well, how much did you get done before you went to Michael? That would be 5 years? Before you...
Maybe about a year ago, a little longer, maybe a little longer than a year and a half now.
Yes, about a, well, it was a year ago last July that you came to.
I had the story in my head and some of the music. Some of the songs, we primarily played the music for Michael and said...
Well, you have background in this world of pop singers and soul music and so on. Have you been involved in that?
Well, I grew up in it.
Oh?
Because I come from the Midwest, and that's all you heard in the Midwest. Was the first radio station I ever heard was all R&B, which is strange.
R&B?
Rhythm and blues.
I never heard that one before.
Which is soul music.
Really?
Yeah, and that was the biggest thing in Ohio. Which
yeah, but you grew up as somebody who followed it. Were you involved in singing or writing or something?
No, not at all.
Just an enthusiast.
Totally an enthusiast.
Is Nashville the center of this kind of...
It was at the time, yes. That was a station I used to listen to all the time. So it was deep. That it was deep in my head somehow. Yeah. I never thought about it until I started on this show.
Well, did you know the backstage side of it? This is about the backstage side. Is that invented?
Primarily, yeah, totally. I've never been backstage.
Well, Michael, you've not been involved with those charts.
Well, actually, but you see, when I was about, what was I, 20, 21, I was a hullabaloo dancer. Hullabaloo was this show. There were two of them. One was Hullabaloo. This would have been about 62, I think. Hullabaloo, and the other one was Shindig. One came from the East Coast, one came from the West Coast. And we had all of the pop stars on every week, and we would do, it was another version of like the hit parade. And so I got to work with most of the big pop stars in that period.
Well, then
and a lot. They used to be on every couple of weeks.
Yeah. Well, then you know about them and their backstage life. The key is the charts, isn't it? That's one of the, to get big, they have to get it on the record charts, isn't that correct?
Well, we all grew, my generation grew up in music, so I mean, even though I'm not in music, you know about music. I mean, that's my world. See, I'm a playwright, but I read more in rock and roll than I did in plays. My plays were always rock and roll more.
Yeah, but what I was thinking about is the records. You make the point of the charts in the show.
The thing is, in order to become a recording star, you have to sell a lot of records. And that makes a recording star.
Yeah.
And so it's all based on how well your records are doing. And there's a big issue in the show about going from the rhythm and blues charts, which does not have as wide an audience, as getting onto the pop charts, which is the major audience for music in the country.
I see.
You see, in making that transition.
Yeah. They have to go up that one step, huh?
It's a whole nother, it's two complete worlds.
Yeah. And getting up there, one of your principals, the guy that's Curtis, is the agent named in the show.
Curtis is the manager of the
group.
He's
the one who takes the group up that one step.
Well, he's the one who develops a style for the group and a sound for the group that he believes will make it onto the pop charts and will be acceptable to the wider audience.
What about that stealing of the song? Is that common?
Very
you have these girls that Miss Holliday is part of the Dreamgirls. They make a recording.
And then it's taken over. And well, Pat Boone did 2 or 3 songs that were very popular before by black artists, and Pat Boone came over and made, like Fats Domino was a big rhythm and blues singer of the 50s, and Pat Boone did 2 or 3 hits from him.
You mean he stole them?
Well, it's not really stealing. It's not really stealing.
It's like they've taken you off.
Once somebody records a record, a song, then anyone else can record that song. But in other words, Fats Domino's record was on the way to being a hit, you know, on the rhythm and blues charts. And then Pat Boone records it, releases it, and it becomes an enormous hit on the pop charts.
Pat Boone's, Fats Domino still gets a royalty. I mean, there is some fairness there.
Now, what about Jennifer Holliday? Were you involved in any of this before? Were you involved in any of this pop and soul and jazz, this kind of singing? You've never made, Michael told me before, you just made your first album. So you haven't been through this wild chase for fame.
No, I haven't.
How did you get into it?
How did I get in this show?
In the show business.
In the show business, oh.
Oh, this is an interesting story.
I was discovered by an actor in a chorus line.
In a chorus line?
Who is now an actor in our show. And his name is Jamie Patterson. And chorus line happened to be in Houston at the same time. I had just finished high school, and we were doing a benefit. So he saw me and he said, "You should be in New York singing with people up there." You know?
What were you doing in the benefit? Just singing?
Just singing.
What kind of songs would you sing?
Soul music, rhythm and blues. And so he said, "You should be in New York." So I flew to New York and I auditioned for a show called Your Arms Too Short to Box with God. And I did that for 2 years. And then that's in fact how Tom Eyen and Henry Krieger saw me. I was in
you saw a play in that.
I was in Your Arms Too Short to Box with God on Broadway this same time last year.